have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock. I don't even have to watch a clock.
Hello. Thank you so much for listening to the Bold Moves podcast. I am the host, Mandy Bryce, and I am super excited to share with you my chat with Celine Harleaux, who healed herself from the inside out after suffering from some rough skin challenges that led her to look within to her diet and really start focusing on self-love. And now she helps other people do the same thing. So I think it's so fantastic when people use their own experiences to help others, and Celine is a great example of that. So without further ado, here is my chat with Celine Harleaux. All right. Hello, everyone. Today I am chatting with Celine Harleaux. Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
Yes, thank you. I know that you are in, I believe, New Zealand, so it is tomorrow there compared to here.
Well, you're yesterday, technically. Yeah.
I guess it depends on whose perspective we're going from.
Absolutely.
Well, you know that the show is called Bold Moves, and you wouldn't be here chatting with me if you hadn't made some. So why don't you tell me and our audience a little bit about you and some of the risks you've taken and how they've paid off to get you where you are today?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I think we should talk about who I was 4 years ago. So 4 years ago, I was in my early 20s and I had a lot of acne on my face and it was absolutely awful. I was in my university years and you wouldn't believe it now if now that you see me, but I had just acne everywhere on my cheeks, absolutely everywhere. I looked like a pizza. Aww. And it was devastating to my self-confidence. So that's my first big bold move that happened in my life. I decided that I wanted to clear my skin holistically, instead of going to, a doctor and get a pill for it. I decided that I wanted to just heal my body so that I could heal my life. And in the process, I really discovered myself. And it was difficult because you know how acne really impacts your self-confidence, and it really, I had to spend 20 to 40 minutes, applying makeup on my face every morning before I actually dared stepping outside of the house. And so in the process, I really discovered who I was, and I did some deep work about, what stuff that had happened in my childhood and who I wanted to be moving forward. And so, I graduated university and I had finally cleared my skin, and I decided that I had, a degree in library management. And I was like, do I really want to do this in my life? And I thought, no, I need to share everything that I've learned. And one thing that I learned during my journey to clear skin was, how can I say this? Self-love, of course.
All right.
And, when I decided to clear my skin, we say that there's 5 areas of health. There's rest and recreation. There's, skincare and makeup. There's stress management. I was thinking about it this morning. There's always 2 that I forget. There's diet, obviously, and there's self-love. And so when I thought about this, I identified self-love automatically as my weakest link, but I thought it doesn't really matter. If you want to clear your skin, like self-love, it obviously is not going to work for you. Like you have to work on skincare, you have to get the right supplements, you have to, change your diet, you have to manage your stress. But self-love, I decided to forget about it.
Sure.
And so it was this weird journey where I was, I decided that self-love was not for me, that I would only love myself once I had cleared my skin. I remember the day that I made this decision. It was something. Gosh. And so I cleared my skin anyway, but it felt like I was just struggling against myself. I was fighting against myself. I was fighting against my body. Every time I would get a new breakout, I would judge myself, criticize myself, make myself feel guilty, basically. And so I got to this point where my skin was almost clear, but not really. And I had done everything I possibly could. I had changed everything in my life except that last bit, the self-love bit.
Sure.
And that's where really the hard work really started. And so in the process, I discovered about Reiki, and I discovered about my limiting beliefs around, about myself. And that's where the deep healing really started. So here I am today, teaching self-love.
All right.
How incredible is that?
That is incredible. So it was the last, I guess, of those 5 areas, which I haven't heard of them broken down into those 5 before, but that was the last area that you started working on, and now it's your expertise.
It is. I mean, it's the thing that I discovered that self-love is what you need to start with. If you want to heal your life, whatever it is that you're suffering from or struggling with, self-love is where you need to start. Because when you possess that virtue, when you have self-love, when you love yourself deeply and completely, unconditionally, everything is a lot easier. And so, yeah. There's a teacher, I think his name is Bentino Massaro or Massarino. I never remember his family name, but he says that self-love is a really boring work, but it's the beginning and the end of every spiritual journey, and you can't avoid it.
Interesting.
So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
This is like crazy timing because I just did a post on Instagram about how this is actually something that I am struggling with personally right now. So I feel like it's meant to be that we're talking today.
I'm so excited.
I wish I had a better reason, but hopefully this will be helpful, I guess, to me. And then I'm sure that I'm not the only person who will be listening to or watching this that has struggled with it or is currently struggling with it. So I'm sure it'll help other people too. Where did you start and how did that journey work for you? And what were the results so far? I imagine that's something you kind of work on your whole life, but.
Yeah, well, I think one thing to remember is that self-love is not really the destination. It really is a journey. So things that meant self-love for me 4 years ago don't really mean self-love for me anymore. It's just something that I take for granted now, but I'm working on more maybe subtle ways to love myself and to accept myself in a more complete way, I suppose. I guess the thing that I started with was all right, so obviously acne just invites you to hide from the world. You know, it's just, it's this barrier because, you know, your skin is the biggest organ in your body and it's how the world sees you. So, and how you want to present yourself to the world. And obviously like I had a lot of acne and therefore I wanted to stay in the house and I never wanted to socialize. And so this was my way of hiding. And so I had to work on, in a really deep way on why I wanted to hide and why it was safer for me to hide who I really was and why I thought that I was always going to get hurt if I was going to get out in the world and show who I truly was. So that was my thing. I mean, first of all, I think discovering who I really was and accepting that and embracing that in all possible ways and then allowing myself to reveal who I was without being afraid to get hurt. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing with the library, did you say library management? Was your degree. Yeah. So I'm assuming that someone who gets that degree usually goes on to work in a library in some capacity. And
absolutely in information management. Yeah.
Okay. And then, I guess because that's probably evolving now that like ebooks are more of a thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, to be honest, you know, I took my degree and I just, you know, I had done a few internships throughout my university thingy. And I just realized that, you know, like library management is all about getting the right information in the hand of the right person. You know, like if you have a project, then I'll give you everything that I can, all the information that I have available to help you accomplish whatever it is that you're here to accomplish. And I thought, well, this is a really beautiful thing, but I'm helping others achieve their dreams. And I know now that I have a dream as well. I have a purpose and it's not library management anymore.
Okay. So how would you describe that purpose?
Well, my purpose is to show every woman on this planet that it's possible for them to love themselves completely.
Okay.
And to accept themselves. And that by doing so, they will be able to show up for the world in a more loving way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it sounds beautiful. So how does that work day to day?
Well, my favorite thing at the moment, I just became a theta healing practitioner last year. And so theta healing is this modality where you look at your limiting beliefs and you change them. So we all have beliefs around, you know, who we are and what we think we deserve in life and what we think we don't deserve in life.
Yeah.
And so theta healing is this modality that helps you look at, you know, you have these beliefs, for example, I am not worthy of being loved. And we look at why, how, why did it start? When did it start? And why are you holding on to it?
Okay.
So yeah, it's really this journey into like the mind really, and you know, like looking at your limiting beliefs in a really, really powerful way. And once you get to the core belief, which is the thing that started everything, then you get rid of it and you replace it with empowering beliefs. And I've actually used that modality to change my own life. And it's been just a year, but it's been incredible. It's been an incredible journey. And every day I do clearings on myself. Every day I realize, Celine, this is something that you believe about yourself. And it's not perfect. It's not very loving. And so I change it. And it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
What did you say the modality is called?
Theta healing. So it's THETA.
Okay.
Theta is a brainwave that is like a deep relaxation meditation brainwave.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. So I imagine then you work with a lot of private clients, or how does...
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's how I started. I started working one-on-one with clients, and I was already excited to do this. And then I thought, but Celine, maybe there's another way for you to do this. And so I created lots of digital trainings and courses last year, which I haven't properly launched yet. So it's still my babies. I'm still hiding a little bit from the world, but they're here and they're ready. And that'll be the next step in my journey. And I've had this incredible 8-week self-love course that I haven't launched yet, like I said, but it's going to be amazing once I do.
Okay, so what's holding you back? Are these limiting beliefs that you need to clear to get these launched?
Absolutely. Well, I think it's, again, like this fear of being visible and seen in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely around that. And I think, self-love is not something that we are taught when we are children. And it's something that is very foreign to many of us. So there's definitely a fear of rejection here for me that I need to work on before I launch the course.
That's fair. Yeah. It's interesting because you mentioned that self-love isn't something we're taught as children, and I definitely agree with that. But I almost feel like it's a lot more natural because you see these kids and I don't know if you've seen the video of the little girl standing on the sink. And she's just shouting I love my house and I love my yard and my family and I'm really smart. And she just is oozing, exploding with self-love and positivity and happiness. And you ask any kid who the fastest kid in their class is, half the kids are it's me. Or I'm the smartest, I'm the funniest, I'm the best. And then I think over time, we're I'm not allowed to say that I'm good at stuff, or, people will think I'm arrogant or full of myself if I'm even just honest, about any sort of positive trait that we have or things we're good at. So it's really interesting that over time it's kind of is it okay to say that I'm good at singing or whatever your talent is? But
I think that a lot of changes happen in high school, when you're you're about to be an adult and you're, I guess, invited or forced in some ways to just fit into that box and to, you want to belong. And so I think, when you're in high school, you have that sense that you really want to belong, but you don't know how to. And so you dim yourself in some ways. I think it was definitely the case for me. And it's been the case for many of my clients in a very strange way. So that's my theory, that, a lot of changes happen in high school. And that's when you kind of lose that spontaneity. I don't really know how to say it in English. Something.
Spontaneity is a...
Spontaneous character?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a word. Yeah. I mean, what do you think? I'm actually not sure. It's just a theory I have.
I would
process.
Yeah, either then or maybe even earlier, middle school. I don't know if you have middle school. I think you're in New Zealand, right? But you're originally from Europe, you said?
From France, yes.
From France, okay. So I don't know if it's broken up the same way, but around 11 or 12 when people first start puberty, I feel like middle school is a really awkward time, and everyone's uncomfortable in their own bodies as they change and all of that. So I don't know if it's there or what, but yeah,
that would be the first transition maybe. And maybe the transition into adulthood as well in your university years, or, early stages of adulthood, where you're trying to find out who you are and try to look for answers, from people that from your parents or, your parents' friends. And, nobody really knows what they're doing. Everybody pretends that they know how to play the game, but nobody really knows.
Isn't that true? So funny. I love that. So people can work with you one-on-one, and then you will be soon launching a bunch of resources, courses, and so on online, so that you can help people more than in your just available time.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think the most powerful way that you can really change your life now is to work regularly on yourself. So I've developed a private coaching program now that goes from 3 to 6 months now, and it's one session a week as well as a bunch of other stuff. And I think that self-love is a journey, and it's about working on yourself every day and just being aware of what's going on in your minds. And I think that a lot of women have a lot of negative self-talk, and we're not really aware of them. We're not aware of our negative, limiting, heavy thoughts and feelings towards ourselves.
Right.
So the first step is really to be aware of those thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, traumas that we kind of bury as much as we can, because we want to just go on with life, and we're so busy, we have stuff to do. There's no time for us to deal with that traumatic event that happened.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, just to be aware, and then once you're aware, then you can make a change.
Okay. That makes sense to me. So it sounds like, moving to a different continent at some point, deciding you don't really want to use your degree. These are definitely things that a lot of people would consider scary. And then you have what's ahead of you, which is launching these courses that you made last year. I'm curious what's the
scariest thing.
That is? Well, I usually ask how you push past it. So we're going to have to go with something that you haven't done yet, so that you can give advice for
Fair enough.
people,
Absolutely.
how they can make similar bold moves or their own bold moves.
Well, my advice to myself at the moment is feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
And you will see as you move forward that there's a block here, there's a block there. Take that block and look at it as in a curious way. Oh, you're here. How crazy is that? Why are you here? And you kind of look at it as if from an observer's perspective, from an observer's point of view. And you just look at it as if you're looking at an object in front of you. And that kind of, creates a disconnection between, the event that may be really traumatic or difficult for you to handle, and you trying to deal with it. And, we know that, working with a coach is obviously, it just makes the whole thing easier.
Right.
I think that, when I was trying to clear my skin, I did the whole thing alone. Like, I wouldn't talk to anybody about what I was going through, because I was so embarrassed about, having let my body get to that point, and, finding it so hard to make a change, and finding it so that it was taking such a long time. And for the longest time, I couldn't talk to my boyfriend, who is now my husband, about what had happened to me, what was happening to me. And I was making all these crazy excuses about why I didn't want to go out with him that night. No, I'm tired. I need to work on that essay and whatever. But really, I just couldn't bear the thought of spending 40 minutes applying makeup to my face and having all these pimples everywhere. Yeah.
So what did you end up doing then to clear your skin? I don't think we ever got to that, but that seemed to be the catalyst. So in case somebody's listening and has that same struggle, perhaps you can give them a shortcut.
Well, there's no miracle solution, but you need to work on all areas of your health, and you will know what changes you need to make. The biggest thing for me was that I stopped eating processed sugars.
Yeah.
And I found that, I was dealing at the time with my parents' divorce, and the way that I was dealing with it was to eat a lot of chocolates, and that made me feel really good, and that helped me handle my stress and my hurt and my anger and everything else. And eating chocolate helped me to feel better, but obviously it had an incredible impact on my digestive system, who eventually showed up on my skin. So that was the biggest move for me, physically speaking. Now, emotionally speaking, I had to deal with my parents' divorce in a different way. So that was my big thing, to learn to handle my emotions, to learn that the anger and the sadness that I feel, it's okay. Like, it's just an emotion. And, how do I decide to deal with that emotion is really how I made, I guess, the boldest move ever in my life so far.
I love that. To be continued.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. So I'm curious, if people are interested in working with you, how do they find you? Like, I'm sure you have a website. I don't know if you're on social media as well. I'll put it all in the show notes, but if you want to share it, in case somebody's like driving or unable to click immediately.
Thank you so much, by the way. This is incredible. Yeah, this is in my process of, becoming more visible in the world. So I'm so scared and excited to do this at the same time.
It's another bold move. Add it to the list.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. So to answer your question, so the easiest way to work with me is just to go to my website, mydawningligh.com. And there you will find all the information that you need just to start working with me if that's what you want, or to buy a digital training from me if that's what you want, to just take it a little easier for now. And I have a podcast as well. How crazy is that? So that's another way that you can just, start incorporating self-love into your own life. And then when you're ready, I'll be here for you.
I love that. That sounds so supportive. So I'm sure in all of this journey toward, healing yourself from the inside out, whether it's your skin or your emotions, your life, that in this, you did some study. And I know you mentioned getting certified in that theta healing, but I'm sure you also read some books because I see them behind you. So I'm curious if you have any book recommendations, and they don't have to be about this area of expertise, although of course that would be interesting, but it could be just something you enjoyed, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, any book recommendations you have that the audience would potentially get some kind of value out of. I would love to hear them.
Okay. All right. So I think my number one recommendation is The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton.
Okay.
It's my boyfriend gave it to me as a Christmas present, and that's he gave it to me when I was transitioning into Christianity into a more well-rounded spirituality kind of mindset. And so he gave me that book, and it's about Michael Newton's journey. He's he works with clients, and he as a what's the word? I can't remember. Psychotherapist, of course. Yeah, as a psychotherapist. And in his work with clients, he stumbled upon regressive hypnotherapy.
Okay.
And he worked with one client once, and the client mentioned a past life, and he was like, "Oh my God," so shocked.
Uh-huh.
And so the book is his recollection of everything that he's discovered around past lives, working with, tens of thousands of clients. And it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. It takes you through the journey of the soul and why we are here. And his discovery was that we're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to love each other unconditionally. We're here to learn to love ourselves unconditionally. Okay. And so that was my big, aha moment. Oh, there's something more out there, and I need to discover what it is.
All right. I love that. Any others you want to recommend? Or is that the one?
It really is the one. I was thinking about that question, and obviously I read a lot, but that was the book that has had the biggest impact in my life. Okay. And he's written a second book after that, and it gets a little deeper into the journey of souls. And it really is the book that kept me awake at night. So thank you, Richard. He's looking at me right now, doing a little.
Love it. Perfect.
But I guess maybe the second book is the book that Vina Steibel, the founder of Theta Healing, has written. And it's a book that you get when you start doing courses, training in the Theta Healing technique. And so it's called Theta Healing by Vina Steibel. And it takes you really deep into the Theta Healing technique, into the spirituality of the technique, and how you can use it to change your life. And it's fascinating because it gives you a lot of practical hints and tips and tricks that you can apply in your life now, so that you can actually make changes yourself. Because you're the most important person in your life, so you might as well, do what it takes to make you the best that you can be now.
I definitely agree with that. Fantastic. Yeah. I'm curious if there's any other advice, maybe lessons you've learned that you wish you had learned sooner, or any sort of message that you have for the audience that you haven't been able to convey yet.
Okay. All right. Advice. Okay. So you are the most important person in your life now, and you deserve to be loved and to love unconditionally. That's all I have to say.
That's beautiful. I love it. That works. Seems simple, but not as much in practice, huh?
Absolutely. Well, when you think about it, we all, you listen to this and you're like, obviously, but, I still do clearings on those two simple sentences. I believe in them in some level, but not on other levels. And so it's all about realizing why you think you're unworthy of love. And is it really the ultimate truth? Of course not. Of course you're worthy of, being loved unconditionally. You're worthy of being incredibly happy, joyful, and healthy and abundant. Of course, this is your true nature. But why do we believe that, we don't deserve those things? Why? That's the big question. Why?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
I used to ask that so much and drive my grandparents crazy. Just in general about everything. All right. Well, I love what we're doing here, and I want to go to my favorite question that I love to ask people. So if 8-year-old Celine had a crystal ball and you could see where you are from then till now, and then of course, you might have plans coming up the foreseeable future, on a scale of 1 to 11, how excited would little you be to see where you are today?
I think she would be an 8 or a 9.
Okay.
I feel like, let me think about it. This is a very interesting question. I think she would be an 8 or a 9. Yes. I think that she would be so happy to see that I have done all these crazy things. And she would be so excited about seeing me traveling, I think, seeing me just with my soulmate, seeing me like changing the lives of people who are ready to change. And she would be excited to see that I'm spending a lot of time with animals, with dogs and cats that she can pet. That's my other passion, animals.
Love that. And I think any kid would be excited for that too.
Absolutely. Fluffy animals. That's the thing. Maybe an 11 then.
Once you get the animals factored into the equation, I love that the number goes up.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And it's so great to get that reminder. I think that so many of us need, that we are deserving and capable of love. And I think it's so true that, we can get into the habit of not behaving as though we don't believe we deserve it. But then, of course, when you logically think about it, like, would you talk to your best friend the way that you talk to yourself? Of course
Absolutely.
not. They wouldn't be your friend anymore. So maybe you need to work on how you talk to yourself. So I think this is a great and timely reminder, and I'm sure you're impacting so many people. And I can't wait to see your launching of your things in your next bold moves. It's time you need to share them. It's selfish of you to keep them hidden from other people. Someone could be waiting for it right now.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we need to remember around self-love. A lot of people that I talk to, they think, self-love is selfish or it's greedy, like it's selfish to love yourself. Well, actually, no, like this is the best gift that you could give to the world. You owe it to yourself, first of all, but you owe it to the world as well. Yeah. Because when you love yourself, you do everything from a place of love. And so you impact everyone in your community. It's a ripple effect. So yes, you owe it to the world. I absolutely love what you just said. It just blew my mind.
Thank you. Well, short interview, but impactful, I think. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. I hope you really enjoyed that chat as much as I did. I think her energy is contagious. I love her laugh, and her story is just so positive and self-nurturing. So I hope you take some time also to see what you and your body and your life need, and do a little self-care in honor of Celine also. Thank you so much for listening. I would love it if you shared this with any of your friends or family or followers who might find some value in it. My goal is to inspire as many people as I can to take big steps or bold moves, or baby steps or bold moves. I guess big steps and bold moves are probably most of the time the same, but I want to inspire as many people as I possibly can to have the life of their dreams, whether that's taking some small time for yourself, eating better, or doing something wild and crazy like moving to a new country or starting a business, or anything. Fill in the blank with what fits you. Anyway, I hope that I inspire as many people to do that as I possibly can, and it would help me a lot if you share that with some people. So that is why I make that request. I also request that you subscribe because on Fridays I share challenges from Monday's guests, and I would not want you to miss Celine's. And this way you'll get an automatic download or a notification that a new episode is up so that you won't miss one. And then while you're in iTunes or whatever platform you're on anyway, I would love it if you could leave a review, preferably a 5-star review, but I'm open to constructive criticism. The reason I do ask, though, even if you're loving the show, for you to leave a review is because hopefully that will help Apple's algorithm to share this podcast with more people. And I already mentioned my goal, so you know why I want more people to hear it. All right, thank you so much for listening. As always, be bold and have a sparkly day. Bye-bye.